Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bears. Now, they're sitting here at 6-9. However, they have most likely the #1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. They have a bunch of cap space. They have a young rising defense and young rising offense. And, well, you've got 2 top 10 picks. And you've got all this cap space. So what I see with the Chicago Bears is not this big dilemma. Oh, do we draft Caleb Williams? Do we draft Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do we trade back to pick number 3 or somewhere between the top 5, still get some superstar-esque talent, and you have 2 top 10 picks? The point is, the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles, for the first time in what feels like my entire life, at least 10 plus years, the Chicago Bears have options. And while they are 6-9, we have to look back at the point of Justin Fields has missed 4 football games. And after their 14-game losing streak, they're actually 6-5 since then. So when I look at the Chicago Bears right now, I actually view a middle-of-the-pack team, and I think with a more solidified wide receiver outside of DJ Moore, Cole Kmet's been great, but outside of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, it's been a bunch of just disappointment, really, not living up to expectations. I'm looking at guys like V12. I'm looking at guys like Darnell Mooney. Chase Claypool trade was an absolute disaster. I also want a more solidified center. I also want just more offensive line depth in general. So when I look at the Chicago Bears, man, I'm almost licking my chops because I'm thinking, if they can just get a few of these moves right, just like they did this past year, and I put myself in Ryan Poles' shoes where I'm like, I have 2 top 10 draft picks. I have the #1 pick in the draft. I already have a middle-of-the-pack team. I've got a rising defense. Well, once Luke Getsy gets fired, you hire a more competent offensive coordinator. I think Matt Eberflus and Justin Fields both have their jobs for next season. So before we get any further into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with a couple of Bears videos every single week. Bears fans, you guys are great. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So, I think when we just kind of zoom out on this season, we go back to the first month of the year where the Chicago Bears could not buy a win. They started off 0-4. It was just terrible because, a lot of people, myself included, were thinking, all right, well, you know what? If Justin Fields is really that dude, and now I have DJ Moore, and I have a healthy on-paper offensive line, I've got this lethal running game, which has rung true this season. The Bears are rushing for 142 yards a game, which is second in the National Football League. Well, they're probably going to be somewhere around 500, and that's actually exactly where they are right now. But I think when we just zoom out, it was not necessarily meant for this team to compete at that high of a level. If it happened, great, but I don't think that was the initial plan here. And even like we said, you go back to a couple of these losses, and the Chicago Bears are like 8-7 right now. Or I'm not good at math. Yeah, 8-7 right now, heading into the last 2 games of the season with a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. We have to keep in mind that the Chicago Bears won 3 football games last season. And people like to use the, Houston Texans, like, oh, CJ Stroud was selected #2 overall. He's got a brutal offensive line. He's got a bunch of no-names at the wide receiver room, at the tight end room. And, he was in MVP conversation for all this. I think it just is kind of comparing like apples to oranges. Comparing Justin Fields to CJ Stroud, outside of the fact that they were both Ohio State quarterbacks, I just don't think is necessarily fair to actually either of them. Because when we look at Justin Fields, he was never meant to be this crazy pocket passer. When we look at Justin Fields, we see this mobile athletic freak. And what I want Justin Fields to do, and what I've wanted him to do all season, and he's started to get back to that since he got healthy after his injury, is to just play his game and play his style and just trust his instincts, right? You're a great runner. You can throw the football. He's not a pocket passer, but he can throw in the pocket. Well, just lean into your instincts. And so, I look at this dilemma, quote-unquote dilemma, with Caleb Williams or Justin Fields, and, especially that the USC bowl game where their backup quarterback, comes in for Caleb Williams because he's sitting out for, a start or a bowl game, and he just lights up records. Like, he had like 6 passing touchdowns. But one thing that was really interesting to me was when their cornerback intercepted the ball, and what the mic picked up was, oh, we're finally a team. We're finally united now. We're united again. And I heard that, and I'm thinking to myself, that's not good. Caleb Williams, I think, is a phenomenal football talent. I think he can really sling the ball. I think he's really quick on his feet. But he isn't enough for me to move on from Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields, at the very least, deserves a 4-year full rookie contract, which would be next season. But with Caleb Williams, there's all of these issues. There's like ego issues. And that's something we've talked about on this channel quite a bit in the second half of the year, is every single player on this Bears team loves Justin Fields. Every coach, every player, and even just players all across the league, they believe and like what they see in Justin Fields. And so you have these guys like DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney and anybody else on the offensive side, and they're like, yeah, Justin Fields can play. And you can clearly see the improvement on a week-to-week basis. Like, I'm so amped up about the future with Justin Fields because I feel like we're so close. And what I worry about with a guy like Caleb Williams, outside of just being the first quarterback, the first overall pick in the draft, is ego issues. Because the whole locker room has completely rallied behind and supported Justin Fields through this dysfunctional Bears ownership, hiring Luke Getsy wanting him to be Aaron Rodgers. Like, when I heard that quote, it was almost a solidifying eye-opener for me, where it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't need a quarterback this year. If I am going to take a quarterback, just take a quarterback in like the 3rd or 4th round. Tyson Bagent is a cool dude. I've got buddies who are good friends with him, and he seems like a really great guy. But, he's not the future of the Chicago Bears, right? Like, that was kiboshed really quickly. So I would I would keep Justin Fields. I would actually probably trade down to pick number 2 or 3 and select Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Brock Bowers at pick number 8. There's plenty of wide receivers, and there's plenty of offensive talents that are going to go in the top 10 outside of the first pick or the second pick. And I also want to just preach patience, because you see this every year. I don't even know if Caleb Williams is going to go number 1, regardless if it's Chicago or not. Drake May, I've seen projected number 1 overall. Marvin Harrison Jr., I've seen projected overall. What happens from here until the draft day, we have so much stuff. We got workouts, we got draft combines. We have so much time until the actual draft that the board's going to flip a ton. And the thing is, people are saying this is a generational quarterback draft class. I don't really think I fully buy that. My first 2 quarterbacks that are projected in Caleb Williams and Drake May, I'm pretty indifferent about. And quarterbacks appear every single season. And so if the Bears decide to go with Justin Fields for 1 more year, but you're worried we're going to lose out on all these generational QBs, well, the same thing's going to happen next year. And we're going to be looking at next year's draft class being like, wow, like a lot of these QBs can play. A lot of these QBs can turn teams around immediately. So it cycles every single year. And I just want to re-preach that word, patience, with this Bears team. So Bears fans, let me know down below, is Justin Fields your quarterback next year? What would you do with the number 1 pick overall? Thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we got a Bears recap win video for you guys in a couple of days. Peace.